Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Podcast and Chill on the Learn English Podcast channel. I'm Leo.
And I'm Gwen. It's wonderful to see you all again. Today, we have a topic that touches many of us in our daily lives.
That's right, Gwen. We're diving into a behavior that's quite common, particularly among the youth, overthinking. Overthinking is when we think too much about something. It can make us worry more than we should.
So, why do we overthink? What makes us get stuck in our thoughts? Let's unpack these questions together.
Join us as we explore why do we think we are overthinking and try to find ways to calm our busy minds. Today, we're going to talk about something that many of us struggle with, overthinking.
That's right, Leo. Overthinking is when we think too much about a situation, problem, or decision. It's like our minds get stuck going over the same thoughts again and again.
Exactly, Gwen. Overthinking can be really harmful because it can lead to stress, worry, and even sadness. It can also stop us from making decisions or taking actions.
I know what you mean, Leo. I've experienced overthinking myself, and it can be really frustrating. Sometimes I spend hours worrying about a small problem that doesn't really matter in the long run.
That's a common experience, Gwen. Overthinking often involves worrying about things that we can't change or imagining the worst outcomes that are unlikely to happen.
But how can we recognize when we're overthinking? It's important to be able to identify the signs so that we can take steps to manage it.
Absolutely, Gwen. One of the most common signs of overthinking is having a constant stream of thoughts running through your mind.
Yes, it's like your brain won't stop thinking about the same thing over and over again, even when you try to focus on something else. Another sign is feeling worried or nervous about things that are out of your control or unlikely to happen.
Overthinking can also lead to physical symptoms like headaches, muscle tension, or trouble sleeping.
That's a good point, Leo. When we overthink, our minds and bodies can become stressed, which can show up in physical ways. Overthinking can also cause us to spend a lot of time analyzing and reanalyzing every decision or situation, even small ones.
Yes, we might find ourselves going back and forth, trying to consider every possible outcome or scenario, even for relatively minor choices. Now, let's discuss what kinds of things can actually trigger or cause us to start overthinking in the first place.
One big trigger for overthinking is stress. When we're feeling overwhelmed or under a lot of pressure, it's easy for our minds to start racing and worrying about everything.
That's right. Stressful situations, whether it's at work, school, or in our personal lives, can definitely lead to overthinking.
Another common trigger is uncertainty or a lack of control over a situation. When we don't know what's going to happen, our minds can start overthinking all the possible outcomes.
I've experienced that before, Gwen. Even small things, like not knowing the plan for the day, can make me worry a lot.
Low self-esteem or self-doubt can also contribute to overthinking. If we are not confident, we might overthink because we worry about making mistakes.
Those are good examples of things that cause overthinking, Gwen. By knowing what makes us overthink, we can try to stop it before it starts. So far, we have talked about what overthinking is, some signs of it, and what can cause it.
That's right, Leo. Now, it's important to discuss how overthinking can negatively impact our mental health if it becomes a habit or isn't managed properly. I think overthinking can lead to depression.
If we always think negatively and get stuck in bad thoughts, it can make us feel worse over time. Constant negative thoughts from overthinking can make it harder to feel happy and enjoy life.
Right. That's why it's so important to learn ways to manage overthinking before it affects our mental health and well-being.
Decision, meaning a choice or judgment you make after thinking about what is best. Example, I think I've made the right decision. Scenario, meaning a description of what could happen in the future. Example, let me suggest a possible scenario. Tension, meaning a situation where people feel unfriendly or distrustful towards each other, which may cause conflict. Example, family tensions and conflicts may lead to violence. Outcome, meaning the result or effect of an action or event. Example, their strategy produced the desired outcome. Depression, meaning a medical condition where a person feels extremely sad, anxious, and hopeless, sometimes with physical symptoms like trouble sleeping. Example, she suffered from severe depression after losing her job. Why can overthinking be harmful? Answer, overthinking too much is unhealthy because it can cause negative feelings like worry, fear, and sadness. It can also stop us from making decisions or doing things. This happens because we get stuck thinking about every possibility again and again. What are the signs of overthinking? Answer, one big sign of overthinking is having the same thoughts repeat in your mind constantly. It's like your brain can't stop thinking about the same problem, even when you try to focus on other things. Another sign is feeling anxious or worried about things you can't control or that are very unlikely to happen.
We all know how overthinking can negatively affect our mental health. But the good news is, there are ways to break free from the overthinking cycle.
That's right, Gwen. With practice and the right strategies, we can train our minds to stop repeating negative thoughts before they become too much.
One helpful technique is mindfulness meditation. This involves focusing on the present moment and allowing thoughts to pass without holding on to them.
Mindfulness is excellent for managing overthinking, Gwen. It helps you become more aware of when you're overthinking, allowing you to focus on the present.
Absolutely. Another effective strategy is to write things down. Putting your thoughts on paper can provide perspective and make them seem less overwhelming.
I like that tip, Gwen. Writing also helps us recognize unhelpful thought patterns that might be causing us to overthink.
Setting time limits for overthinking can be beneficial too. For example, you could allow yourself 20 minutes to think about a problem, but after that, you need to move on and let it go for the day.
Otherwise, it's easy for our minds to just spin endlessly if we don't consciously break that cycle of repetitive thoughts.
Definitely, Leo. Talking to others can really help too. Sharing your thoughts and getting views from others can make you feel better and stop the overthinking.
Valuable tips, Gwen. The key is finding which techniques work best for you and making them a regular practice to rewire those overthinking habits.
One powerful method we talked about for breaking the cycle of overthinking is mindfulness. But what exactly is mindfulness, and how can it help?
Great question, Gwen. Mindfulness means being completely involved with what is happening right now. It involves paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and what you can sense right now, instead of getting lost in the past or worrying about the future.
By practicing mindfulness more, we can notice when we start to overthink and focus our attention back on the present moment. This stops us from falling into negative thinking patterns.
Exactly. Mindfulness allows us to look at our thoughts from a distance without judging them or getting too involved. We can just let the thoughts come and go.
There are many mindfulness exercises that can help reduce overthinking. One easy exercise is focusing on your breath, paying attention to the feeling of breathing to help you stay in the present.
Focusing on your breath is a great way to calm a busy mind, Gwen. Just a few minutes of paying close attention to your breathing can help reduce stress and anxiety from overthinking.
In addition to mindfulness, another good way to handle overthinking is to improve your time management skills.
Right. Bad time management can make overthinking worse. When we feel rushed or behind, it's easy to start worrying a lot.
Absolutely. But by getting better at planning, organizing tasks, and using our time well, we can reduce much of that worry.
A simple time management tip is to use a daily planner or calendar to organize your activities and deadlines. This helps you see clearly what you need to do and when.
Prioritizing tasks is important. It stops us from spending too much time thinking about small tasks that are not that important.
Exactly, Gwen. Good time management helps us feel in control and organized. This reduces the need to overthink as a way to handle chaos or uncertainty.
Planning and organizing our days ahead of time can prevent a lot of unnecessary worrying later. Let's look at some emotion-related words. Mental health, meaning the condition of someone's mind in terms of how healthy it is. Example, Volunteering can improve your mental health and help you live longer. Meditation, meaning the practice of clearing your mind and relaxing, sometimes for spiritual reasons. Example, she found peace through yoga and meditation. Repetitive, meaning doing or saying the same thing many times, which can be boring. Example, travel sickness is caused by repetitive movements. Perspective, meaning the way you see something or think about something. Example, recent events seem less serious from an international perspective. Prioritize, meaning to decide which tasks are the most important so you can deal with them first. Example, you should list your tasks and prioritize them.
And that brings us to the end of today's podcast episode. Thank you all for joining us today. Remember, the key to a fulfilling life is balancing love and career. Don't forget to check the free PDF in the description for more useful vocabulary.
Goodbye, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Podcast and Chill. I'm Leo.
And I'm Gwen. We're glad to have you tuning in once again.
So, what are we going to talk about today, Gwen?
Today's topic might hit close to home for a lot of us. It's about those feelings we all get, happy, sad, mad, all that stuff.
You are talking about a roller coaster of emotions.
You got that right. And let's be honest, sometimes those emotions take us way too far.
Today, we're going to chat about how to be the boss of your feelings, not the other way around. We'll learn some cool tricks to help you ride that roller coaster with a little more control.
Let's dive in. Let's start by understanding our emotions. First, emotions are a natural part of being human. They are signals from our brain telling us how we feel about a situation.
There are many types of emotions, like happiness, excitement, anger, and fear. These emotions can change how we think and act.
For example, feeling nervous before a big presentation can make us prepare better.
But sometimes emotions can control us and lead to impulsive decisions or outbursts. That's why it's important to learn how to manage our emotions.
How do we do that?
The first step is becoming more self-aware. Ask yourself, what triggers strong emotions in me? Maybe it's a critical comment from a colleague that makes you feel angry or a tight deadline that makes you anxious. Notice what situations or people make you feel strong emotions. Once you know your triggers, you can start to develop ways to cope.
Maybe it's taking a deep breath before responding to criticism, or taking a short break to manage anxiety when facing a deadline. By understanding our emotions and knowing our triggers, we can control them. We can choose how to react instead of letting our emotions control us.
That's a great point. There are good techniques to help us calm down when we are upset. Deep breathing is a classic practice. Just take slow, deep breaths from your chest, feeling your belly rise and fall. Meditation can also help. Even a few minutes of focusing on your breath can work wonders.
And don't forget about relaxing your muscles. Muscle relaxation can reduce tension and make you feel calm. When you notice tension in your muscles, try to relax them one by one. You will start to feel a difference in your body and emotions.
These techniques may seem simple, but they can have a great impact on our emotional well-being when practiced regularly. It is important to remember that we all feel many emotions, and that's okay. How we handle them is what matters.
Yes, and sometimes just saying our feelings out loud can help. Saying, I feel sad right now, or I'm feeling anxious can be very powerful.
That's true. Saying our emotions is the first step in managing them. It's like giving ourselves permission to feel without any shame.
Another way to feel better is deep breathing. When you feel stressed, taking slow, deep breaths can help calm your mind and body.
I like that. Deep breathing is very simple, but very helpful. It's something we can do anytime, anywhere.
And let's not forget about the power of a good night's sleep. Getting enough rest is very important for emotional health.
That's right. When we sleep well, we can handle stress and difficult emotions better.
I also find that spending time in nature helps. Whether it's a walk in the park or just sitting outside, being in nature can make us feel better.
Nature has a way of making us feel calm. It reminds us that we are part of something bigger.
And let's not forget about the importance of laughter. Sometimes, watching a funny movie or spending time with friends can make us feel happy.
Laughter is the best medicine. It's a great way to relieve stress and improve our mood. Let's go through some vocabulary related to emotions. Impulsive, meaning acting or done suddenly without any planning or consideration of the result. Example, don't be so impulsive, think before you act. Outburst, meaning a sudden, strong expression of emotion, especially anger. Example, during the argument, John had an outburst of anger and slammed the door. Trigger, meaning an event, situation, etc. that causes the start of something, especially something bad. Example, whenever Mark feels criticized at work, it triggers his anger, and he finds it hard to control his emotions. Tension, meaning a feeling of nervousness or anger. Example, I could feel the tension in the room as everyone waited nervously for the results. Evoke, meaning to make someone remember something or feel an emotion. Example, his speech on justice evoked strong emotions among the crowd. How does identifying triggers help in controlling emotions? Answer: identifying triggers allows us to understand how and why we react strongly to certain things and develop ways to manage emotions better. How does effective emotional management benefit personal relationships? Answer: good emotional management can improve communication, reduce conflicts, and foster healthier and more fulfilling relationships. Let's talk about mindfulness. It's a term we often hear, but what does it really mean?
It's about being present in the moment, observing thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Exactly. With mindfulness, we can become more aware of our emotions and respond to them in a calmer way.
And it's not just about sitting in meditation. You can practice mindfulness while doing everyday activities like eating or walking.
That's right. When we're mindful, we create space between our emotions and our reactions. It allows us to pause and choose how we respond rather than reacting impulsively.
Another helpful tool in handling our emotions is emotional journaling. It involves writing down our emotions and thoughts regularly.
It helps us understand our emotional patterns, triggers, and underlying beliefs. By putting our feelings into words, we can better understand and process them.
It is also a good way to release negative emotions when we allow bad feelings to be expressed on paper.
I totally agree. You can think of it like a trusted friend you can confide in. No rules, no judgment, just honesty.
Besides journaling, there are different ways for us to express emotions in a healthy way. Try talking to a trusted friend or family member about what's bothering you.
And how about expressing ourselves through art? Whether it's drawing, writing poetry, getting creative can be a fantastic outlet for expressing our emotions in a safe way.
Another option is physical activity, whether it's going for a run, hitting the gym, or dancing around your living room. Moving your body can help release built-up tension and stress.
That's what I've been doing when I have free time.
Remember, controlling emotions isn't about suppressing them. It's about finding healthy ways to understand and make peace with them. Let's go through some vocabulary relevant to learning. Mindfulness, meaning the practice of being aware of your body, mind, and feelings in the present moment, which can create calmness. Example, mindfulness can help reduce feelings of anxiety and depression. Honesty, meaning always tell the truth. Example, it's important to always tell the truth because honesty builds trust between people. Bottle up, meaning to hold in emotions, usually without expressing or releasing them. Example, She tends to bottle up her feelings instead of talking about them openly. Confide, meaning to tell something secret or personal to someone who you trust not to tell anyone else. Example, as sisters, they have always confided in each other. Outlet, meaning a way in which emotion or energy can be expressed. Example, writing poetry is his only form of emotional outlet. How does mindfulness help manage emotions? Answer. Mindfulness helps manage emotions by creating space between you and your feelings. This allows you to observe your emotions without judgment and choose a calmer response instead of reacting impulsively. What can be the results of suppressing emotions? Answer. Bottling up emotions can lead to stress, anxiety, and eventual emotional outbursts.
And that brings us to the end of today's talk. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of our podcast.
Don't forget to check the free PDF in the description for more useful vocabulary. Goodbye, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Podcast and Chill on the Learn English podcast channel. I'm Leo.
And I'm Gwen. It's great to have you with us again. Today, we're talking about something that affects a lot of us in everyday life.
Yep, we're going to answer a question that many people have been thinking about.
What's that question, Leo?
Are you a toxic person?
I've seen that question a lot on the internet lately.
A toxic person is someone who often makes others feel bad, sad, or stressed.
So, how can we tell if we're being toxic or if someone around us is?
That's exactly what we'll talk about today. Stay with us to find out if there's a toxic person in your life, or if it might be you. So, let's start by recognizing toxic behaviors. Gwen, what exactly are toxic behaviors?
Good question, Leo. Toxic behaviors are when someone often brings negativity into situations.
Can you explain more?
Sure, it could mean they always talk about bad things. They might speak badly about others and don't care how others feel.
Is it like when someone always finds something wrong with what you're doing, no matter how hard you try?
Exactly. Or when they constantly make you feel like you're not good enough.
That sounds so terrible.
Another sign is if they never listen to what others have to say and just push their opinions onto everyone else.
That can really bring people down.
If you notice these signs in someone, or even in yourself, it might be time to think about it.
Okay, now I have a really interesting question for you, Gwen.
What is that, Leo?
So, it can be quite easy to know if someone is being toxic, but how do we know if we are being toxic?
That brings us to our next point, self-reflection.
What is self-reflection?
Self-reflection is all about asking yourself some simple but honest questions.
What questions?
You can ask yourself, do I often make others feel bad? Or do I usually complain or talk badly about people?
Those are tough questions.
But they're so important. It's about being honest with yourself.
All right, so what if my answers are yes and yes?
If you're often talking about negative things, you might need to make some changes.
I would feel very bad if I knew I was a toxic person.
Well, it's not about feeling bad. It's about seeing these behaviors and deciding to improve them.
Everyone has bad days, but if it's happening all the time, it's worth thinking about, right?
Exactly, Leo. The thing is, toxic behaviors don't just affect you. They affect everyone around you too.
Please tell me more about how badly it can affect other people.
You know, Leo, toxic behaviors are like a wildfire.
What do you mean?
Well, they spread quickly. People around a toxic person might start to feel sad, anxious or stressed out too.
I've seen it happen. One negative comment, and suddenly everyone feels bad.
Exactly. And over time, this can really hurt relationships,
I bet friends might start avoiding you,
and coworkers might not want to work with you.
and family members might want to stay away from you and all of your negativity.
That's why it's so important to be aware of how your actions affect others.
So, if people seem unhappy around me, does that mean I'm a toxic person?
Not necessarily, Leo, but if that happens, you should really think about how you act around people.
I see.
You can choose to be more positive, listen more, and be more supportive.
Affect, meaning to change or influence something. Example, the weather can affect your mood. Recognizing, meaning knowing who someone is or what something is because you have seen them before. Example, she's recognizing her old school friends. Behaviors, meaning the way people act or behave. Example, his behavior in class is very polite. Complaining, meaning talking about things that are wrong or make you unhappy. Example, she is complaining about the bad service at the restaurant. Avoiding, meaning keeping away from something or someone. Example, he is avoiding crowded places. How do you know if a person is being toxic? A person is being toxic if they always bring negativity into situations, often criticize others, talk badly about people, and don't care about other people's feelings. They might also never listen to others and only push their own opinions. Why does Gwen compare toxic behaviors to a wildfire? Gwen compares toxic behaviors to a wildfire because both spread quickly and can have a big negative impact. So, what exactly should we do if we find out we are being toxic?
Great question, Leo. The next step is taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility?
If we realize that we've been negative or hurtful, we need to take responsibility for it.
So, I have to admit, I made mistakes. That would be hard.
Actually, it's a sign of strength. If you've hurt someone, the best thing you can do is to take responsibility and apologize.
How can it help, though?
It shows that you care about the other person's feelings and that you're willing to make things right.
Seems like a sincere apology can go a long way.
And remember, it's not just about saying sorry. It's also about making a real effort to change.
Got it? The apology doesn't mean much if we keep making the same mistakes, right?
Right. And this brings us to our next point, practicing empathy.
What is that?
It means putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
All right, Gwen. This actually sounds challenging.
You should ask yourself, how would I feel if someone said or did this to me?
And then,
When you start thinking about how others feel, you're less likely to be negative or hurtful.
empathy is such a powerful tool. But how can I show my empathy?
Well, it's very simple. Just listening can make a huge difference.
Just listening?
Yes, Leo, just listening.
But I've always listened to others.
The point is to listen without interrupting.
You mean no interrupting?
Exactly. It shows that you respect the other person's thoughts and feelings.
When I understand where people are coming from, it's easier to be more kind.
Correct. So keep that in mind.
But Gwen, listening feels quite passive. Are there any ways to show empathy more actively?
Certainly. That leads us to our final point for today, making small, positive changes.
How can I make positive changes?
You can start with little things that can make a big difference.
For example,
like saying thank you more often or giving a genuine compliment.
you're right. They're small gestures, but they can definitely brighten someone's day.
Positive words have a powerful effect. So instead of using them to hurt people, let's use them to make others feel better.
What else can I do?
Well, let's try to focus on the positive side of things.
Even on my bad days,
Would you be surprised if I said changing your mindset can make you a happier person?
really?
Really, when you change yourself for the better, both you and others benefit.
It sounds like a win-win to me.
Exactly.
Well, now I feel much better if I happen to be a toxic person.
Hey, I don't think you're toxic at all, Leo. But remember, nobody's perfect. We all have our ups and downs. The important thing is we're trying to be better.
You're so kind, Gwen.
Thank you. Responsibility, meaning a duty or job you are expected to do. Example, it is your responsibility to finish your homework. Apologize, meaning to say sorry for something you did wrong. Example, he apologized for being late to the meeting. Respect, meaning to show care and consideration for someone or something. Example, you should respect your teacher's rules. Effect, meaning a change that happens because of something else. Example, the new rules had a positive effect on the team. Benefit, meaning to gain or receive something good from something. Example, you will benefit from studying hard. And that brings us to the end of today's podcast episode.
So my friends, keep these tips in mind as you go about your day.
You might be surprised at how much of a difference they can make.
Thanks for joining us for this important discussion, everyone. We hope you found it helpful.
Don't forget to check the free PDF in the description for more useful vocabulary.
We'll see you next time on Podcast and Chill. Until then, keep working on being the best version of yourself.
Bye for now, and take care. Have you ever noticed someone who always wants the biggest slice of cake or never wants to take turns playing a game? Maybe you've even felt a little grumpy yourself when someone doesn't share their things. These can be signs of a selfish person. Being selfish means putting our own wants and needs above everyone else's all the time. It's like saying me first a little too loudly. Imagine you have a delicious chocolate bar. You decide to eat the whole thing without offering a piece to your friend who's sitting right next to you. Another example is not helping out at home. If your family is busy and you choose to play games instead of helping, that can also be selfish. Sometimes, we don't even know we're being selfish. We just act without thinking about how it affects others. Now, there's a difference between being selfish and taking care of ourselves. Self-care is like taking a warm bath after a long day. It's listening to your favorite music when you feel down. It's saying no sometimes, even when you really want to say yes because you need a rest. It's even asking for help. These are all ways to care for ourselves, just like the flower needs care. Self-care helps us feel good and be our best selves for everyone around us. If you're tired and grumpy, it's harder to be kind to others. But when you're feeling rested and happy, you can share your things, smile at your friends, and help others in need. Being selfish, on the other hand, can be like only wanting the biggest slice of cake, even if there isn't enough for everyone. It's never letting your friend have a turn on the swing. It's forgetting to say thank you or please. Selfish behavior can make others feel sad or left out. But here's the secret. Sometimes wanting things for ourselves isn't selfish. It's just part of being human. We all have needs and desires, just like little plants need sunshine and water to grow. So, how do we find the balance between self-care and selfishness? It's all about thinking of others while also taking care of yourself. Ask yourself, is this action only helping me, or is it also fair to others? If you're unsure, talk to someone you trust. They can give you a different point of view. The real magic also happens when we learn to listen. When we listen carefully to our friends, family, we can start to understand their needs too. By listening to what others need, we can share our kindness and create happiness together. Maybe you like playing games, but your friend prefers reading. Listening to your friend might mean taking turns doing activities you both enjoy. The more we listen, the better we understand the people around us. We learn about their feelings and what makes them happy. By listening to others, we also learn that everyone has their own story. And the more we listen, the less selfish space there is in our garden. We become more loving, more understanding, and more helpful. It's natural to think about ourselves sometimes, but helping others can actually make us happier. Imagine this. You're walking home from school and see a friend having a hard time with a heavy bag. You offer to help, and together you laugh and chat as you walk. Suddenly, the walk doesn't feel so long anymore, right? That's because helping others creates a connection, a feeling of being part of something bigger. Think about a beautiful sunflower. It reaches tall and bright towards the sun, soaking up its warmth. That's kind of like us. We need to take care of ourselves to grow. But a sunflower also turns its face to the sun, not away. It shares the sun's light with the world around it. There are simple things we can do every day to be like that sunflower. Tiny acts of kindness that can brighten someone else's day, and in turn, make our own hearts feel a little lighter. Maybe it's holding the door open for someone with their hands full. Perhaps it's offering a listening ear to a friend who seems down. It could even be leaving a kind note for a family member. When we're kind, it creates a warm feeling inside, like sunshine on our hearts. Imagine helping a lost puppy find its way home, or holding the door open for someone with groceries. These little acts make the world a brighter place for them and for us. When you're kind, you plant a seed of happiness. That seed might grow into a smile on someone's face, a helping hand in return, or just a warmer feeling inside you. If you ever wonder if you're selfish, remember, even the smallest acts of kindness can blossom into something beautiful. Try a new good deed each day and see how it makes you feel. That's what being selfless is about. You might be surprised at the sunshine it brings. Maybe tonight, before bed, take a few quiet breaths and think about your day. Did you do something kind to everyone around you? Remember, even the smallest acts can make a big difference. And if you ever feel a little too much by caring for others, just think of the sunflower. Take care of yourself first. Then turn your face towards the sun and share its warmth with the world. If something comes to mind that makes you think, maybe I could have been kinder, that's great. It means you're growing and learning. Remember, being kind to others makes everyone feel good, including you. Being kind to yourself is important too. Take a warm bath, read a fun book, or spend time doing something you enjoy. When we feel good, it's easier to sprinkle sunshine on others. So, are you selfish? Well, maybe a little bit sometimes, and that's okay. We all are, but the important thing is to remember to be kind and share with others and to take good care of ourselves too.
Welcome back to another episode of Podcast and Chill, everyone. I'm your host, Leo, the guy who can teach you something and make you laugh.
And I'm Gwen, your helpful host, here to explain today's topic.
We're going to talk about a very important subject, feeling sad for a long time. Feeling sad for a long time is something that many people go through, but not everyone really understands it.
We'll talk about what it means, the common signs, why it happens, how it affects your daily life, and how to get help.
Are you ready? Let's start. Let's start with understanding depression. Gwen, can you help us understand what depression is?
Sure, Leo. Depression is a common mental health problem that affects how a person feels, thinks, and acts. It's more than just feeling sad or having a bad day. Depression can make someone feel very hopeless or empty for a long time. It can change how they see themselves and the world around them. Depression can make it hard to do normal daily things, and it can even make someone think that life isn't worth living. But it's important to know that depression can be treated and there is help available.
So, depression is a serious issue that impacts many parts of a person's life. In front of others, I can seem happy and full of energy, but deep down, depression takes away all my energy. I lost interest in things I used to enjoy, and I often felt tired and sad for no clear reason. It was like carrying a heavy weight all the time. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't understand it was depression until I talked to a doctor.
Thank you for sharing that, Leo. It sounds really tough. Now, let's go over the common signs of depression.
What are the common signs of depression that people should know about, Gwen?
Depression can look different for everyone, but there are some common signs to watch for. These include feeling sad or hopeless most of the time. People with depression might lose interest in things they used to enjoy. They may feel very tired or have trouble sleeping, either too much or too little. Another sign is having trouble focusing or making decisions. Some people might feel like they have no value or feel guilty, and in serious situations, they might even think about death or ending their life. It's important to remember that these symptoms can be different for each person. Did you experience any of these symptoms, Leo?
Yes, I did. I often felt very tired, even when I hadn't done anything hard. I also had trouble focusing on my work or even easy tasks like reading. The worst part was feeling worthless and hopeless, like nothing I did made a difference.
I understand that. No matter who we are or where we are, we can all experience depression.
Now, let's move on to what causes depression. There are several things that can lead to depression.
One reason is genetics. If someone in your family has had depression, you might get it too. Another reason is changes in the brain. Scientists found that people with depression often have different levels of certain chemicals in their brains. These chemicals, like serotonin, help control mood, and when they're not balanced, it can cause depression.
Some things in life can cause depression, like losing someone you love, ending a relationship, or having too much stress. Even good changes, like moving to a new place or starting a job, can feel too much and lead to depression.
Growing up in a stressful environment can also make it more likely to get depression later.
That makes sense. It sounds like depression can be caused by many different things. I've read that some studies have found a connection between stress and depression. Could you tell us more about that?
Sure, one famous study was done by Dr. Charles Nemiroff and his team at Emory University. They found that people who go through a lot of stress, especially as children, are more likely to get depression later. This is because stress can change the brain, making it harder to deal with problems as they grow up. Another study by Dr. George Slavich at the University of California, Los Angeles, showed that people under a lot of stress produce more of a hormone called cortisol. High levels of cortisol over a long time can lead to depression.
Thank you for those examples, Gwen. It's clear that depression can come from many things, and understanding these causes can help us deal with it better. Worthless definition: something or someone that has no value or is not useful. Example: when Leo was dealing with depression, he had trouble focusing on his work and felt worthless and hopeless. Tough definition: difficult or challenging. Example: dealing with depression was very hard for Leo because it made everything in his life feel tough. Symptom definition: a sign that something may be wrong with your health. Example: one common symptom of depression is feeling sad or hopeless for most of the day, nearly every day. Genetics definition: the study of how features like eye color or height are passed from parents to their children. Example: genetics can be one cause of depression, meaning that if someone in your family has had depression, you might be more likely to experience it too. Hormone definition: any of many chemicals in the body that influence the body's growth and how it works. Example: Dr. George Slavich's study shows that high levels of the hormone cortisol, which is often produced during stress, can lead to depression.
How did Leo describe his experience with depression? Leo said he felt trapped in a dark place, lost interest in things he used to enjoy, felt tired all the time, and always felt hopeless. What are some possible causes of depression? Possible causes include genetics, changes in brain chemistry, stressful life events, and environmental factors.
Now, let's talk about how depression affects daily life. Depression made everything feel harder. Some people find it hard to get out of bed in the morning because they don't feel excited about anything.
At work, they couldn't pay attention and their job performance got worse. They also stopped hanging out with friends because they didn't have the energy or interest.
Even easy tasks like cooking or cleaning felt too difficult. It's not just feeling sad, it's like everything in their life became hard. We cannot use sentences like, "Don't be sad anymore." "Go out and have fun" to encourage people with depression.
That sounds really challenging.
Yes, depression affects many parts of the brain that control how we feel, think, and behave. Depression can affect sleep, making a person feel tired all the time, which makes it harder to get through the day. It can change how a person thinks, making them feel like nothing they do is right, which can cause problems at work or school.
It can also hurt relationships because the person might pull away from others or find it hard to talk to them.
That's right. It's clear that depression is more than just feeling sad. It's something that can seriously impact every part of a person's life.
So, what should someone do if they think they might have depression?
The first step is to talk to a healthcare professional, like a doctor or psychologist. They can figure out if someone has depression and suggest ways to treat it.
The treatment for depression depends on how serious it is. One common treatment is therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps people change negative thoughts and behaviors that make depression worse. Another option is medication. Medication can help balance brain chemicals that control mood. It's important to find the right treatment for each person because what helps one person might not work for someone else. Let's continue, Leo. Could you share what are some ways that we can support someone who is dealing with depression?
Absolutely. One of the most important things you can do is to listen without judgment. People with depression often feel alone, and just knowing that someone cares can make a big difference. As I've said before, it's important to be patient and not say things like, just get over it or you have no reason to be sad. Instead, offer to help with simple but practical things like shopping or cooking. Encourage them to see a professional if they haven't already, and offer to go with them if they want.
Also, make sure to take care of yourself. Supporting someone with depression can be hard, so make sure you have support too. So, Leo, did you have someone who supported you during your depression?
Yes, my sister was a big help. She listened to me without judging and encouraged me to get help. She also checked on me often to see how I was doing. Knowing she was there for me made a big difference.
It's wonderful that you had that support, Leo. Psychologist. Definition: someone who studies the human mind and human emotions and behavior and how different situations have an effect on people. Example: psychologists can help people understand and manage their depression through therapy. Performance. Definition: how well someone does a task or job, often measured by quality. Example: Leo's performance at work got worse because he struggled to focus. Professional. Definition: a person who has the type of job that needs a high level of education and training. Example: it's important to seek help from a mental health professional. Treatment. Definition: the care provided to improve a condition, especially for a health problem. Example: cognitive behavioral therapy and medication are common treatments for managing depression. Medication. Definition: a set of medicines or drugs used to improve a particular condition or illness. Example: certain medicines can help balance brain chemicals and improve mood for people with depression.
Why is it important for someone with depression to see a professional for help? Because depression is a serious problem that usually needs treatment, like therapy or medicine, to help manage the symptoms. Why is it necessary to recognize the symptoms of depression early? Because it helps the person get help earlier, which can stop the problem from getting worse. That brings us to the end of our discussion today. We've learned a lot about what depression is, the common symptoms, what causes it, and how it can affect daily life.
If you or someone you know is having a hard time with depression, remember that help is available and it's okay to ask for it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to explore, send us a message.
Take care of yourselves and remember that you're not alone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 8-Minute English on the Learn English podcast. I'm Nathan, and I'm so glad you're here. So, by now, I'm sure you've already seen the title of today's episode. We're talking about emotions today. Emotions are something we all have, right? There are good emotions like happiness, and there are tough ones like anger. Anger is one of those emotions that can feel overwhelming. But is anger always bad? Today, we're going to explore that. Why do some of us get angry easily? And before we dive into today's conversation, don't forget to check out the free PDF we've prepared for you. You can find it in the description or in the comments section, and it's really useful for today's topic. Now let's get into our today's conversation.
Hey, Sarah. I've been feeling so angry lately.
Really? What's going on, Tom?
I don't know. Even little things are making me mad these days.
Oh no. That doesn't sound good. What's bothering you the most?
Well, everything, to be honest. It feels like I'm always stressed, and I'm constantly running out of energy. Work has been stressful, and I haven't been sleeping well at night.
Oh, I understand. When I don't get enough sleep, even the smallest things can upset me.
Exactly. I just feel tired all the time. Then, when something small happens, like being stuck in traffic, I get really mad. It's like everything is building up, and I can't control my reactions anymore.
Yeah, stress can definitely make things worse. Have you thought about what's making you stressed?
Mostly work. I've been trying to meet deadlines, but there's always something going wrong. I've also been arguing with my coworkers a lot lately.
That sounds tough. It seems like all of this is piling up on you.
Yeah, and it's hard to stay calm in the middle of all that.
I think recognizing what's causing your stress could help you manage it better.
You're probably right, but it feels like everything is happening at once, so it's hard to focus.
I get it. Have you noticed any specific things that make you more angry?
Well, work is a big one, but also when things don't go as planned.
Yeah, those are common triggers. And when people are usually under pressure or feeling overwhelmed, they're more likely to react with anger.
That's definitely me. I feel like I'm on edge all the time.
Another thing to think about is whether your anger is affecting other parts of your life.
What do you mean?
Like, are you getting into arguments more often? Is your anger affecting your relationships at work or at home?
Yeah, I've noticed that I've been arguing more with my coworkers. And sometimes I snap at my family for no reason.
That's a sign that the anger might be affecting your life more than it should. When anger starts to impact your relationships or daily life, it might be a good idea to talk to someone, like a doctor or therapist.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes anger can be a sign of deeper issues, like anxiety or depression, especially if it's happening frequently. Have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Oh, yeah, I have. The one about the emotions in the girl's head, right?
Right. Do you remember how anger was just one of the emotions, but he didn't always understand the deeper feelings behind it?
Yeah, anger always reacted first. But sometimes it was actually sadness or fear that was causing problems.
That's kind of how it works in real life too. Sometimes anger is just on the surface. You know, Tom, anger itself isn't always bad. It's actually a normal emotion, and it's important to express it in a healthy way. The real problem comes when we try to push it down or ignore it. That's when it can build up and come out in ways we don't want.
Yeah, I guess trying to hold it in makes it worse.
Exactly. That's why finding a way to release your anger is so important. You could try things like exercise, talking to someone, or even writing down your feelings. The goal is to release that anger so it doesn't affect your relationships or your health.
That makes sense. I don't want to hurt anyone with my anger.
Find what works for you to release that anger.
Thanks for bringing that up, Sarah. I'll think about it.
Anytime, Tom. I'm always here if you need to talk.
Now, let's go over some useful words from today's conversation. The first word is stressed. Stressed means feeling worried or unable to relax because of too much work or problems. For example, I feel stressed when I have too much work to do. The second word is angry. Angry means feeling very upset or mad about something. For example, he gets angry when people don't listen to him. The third word is calm. Calm means feeling peaceful and not angry or upset. For example, it's important to stay calm when you are in a difficult situation. The fourth word is breathe. Breathe means to take air into your body and let it out again. For example, when you feel angry, take a deep breath to calm down. And the last word is trigger. Trigger means something that makes you feel a strong emotion, like anger or stress. For example, being late is a trigger that makes me stressed. Now, I have two questions for you to think about. First, what do you usually do when you feel angry or stressed? Do you have any techniques that help you calm down? A common technique is deep breathing. Studies from Harvard Medical School show that deep breathing can reduce stress and help control anger. Another good method is taking a short walk. Walking can help you calm down by giving your mind and body a break. And second, have you noticed any triggers that make you angry? Triggers are often small things, like being stuck in traffic or arguing with someone. Recognizing these triggers is the first step to managing your anger. Recognizing triggers helps people control their emotions better. Let us know your answers in the comments below. Now, before we finish today's episode, let's talk about some interesting facts about anger. Did you know that anger can actually be helpful sometimes? Studies from the University of California show that anger can motivate people to solve problems and stand up for themselves. But if anger is not managed well, it can lead to health problems. Research from the American Heart Association found that frequent anger can increase the risk of heart disease. So, it's important to manage your anger in a healthy way. Also, did you know that smiling, even when you don't feel happy, can help you calm down? A study by the University of Kansas found that smiling can lower your heart rate and reduce stress levels. So, the next time you're feeling angry, try to smile. And here's my advice for all of you listening. When you notice yourself getting angry, pause for a moment. Take a few deep breaths or step away from the situation if you can. Giving yourself time to think can help you calm down and respond in a better way. Remember, anger is a natural emotion, but how we manage it makes all the difference. And don't forget to make a copy of the file so you can edit and have your own version. Just check the description or the comments section below to download it. And if you have any questions or thoughts about today's topic, leave a comment. We love hearing from you. And your topic, you want to hear from us. Thanks for joining me today, and don't forget to practice staying calm. See you next time on 8-Minute English. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Podcast and Chill, our beloved listeners. I'm your host, Leo, the guy who can teach you something while making you laugh.
And I'm Gwen, your informative host, here to help you get useful information. And yeah, don't forget to focus on our sharings, not just your jokes, Leo.
Got it. Just ask our listeners. I always share useful tips, right?
Okay, I trust you.
Yeah, I won't make you feel disappointed.
No need to be that serious. Making others feel disappointed is not a big deal.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's also the topic we will share today.
Dear our listeners, you can pause the video, close your eyes, and answer the following questions. Do you think negative thinking is good or bad? Do you feel bad when you are disappointed in yourself? And do you want to overcome that feeling?
Can I answer these questions?
Oh, Leo, that's for our listeners. Anyway, fine. I believe our beloved listeners also want to hear your answers.
Before being happy like I am now, I always worried about saying something people wouldn't like. And because of that, I also ended up disappointing myself. And now I've overcome that feeling, so I'm really excited to share with my audience.
I understand you, Leo. Dear listeners, if you've ever had a feeling like Leo, being sad because things didn't go as planned, or because you don't meet people's needs, this episode is for you. Today we're talking about something that many people feel but don't talk about much: being disappointed in yourself.
That's right. Disappointment can feel overwhelming, but the good news is it's something we can work through together.
We've prepared a special free PDF for this episode, full of useful phrases for your learning. Don't forget to check it out.
Let's start. First, let's talk about why it's completely fine to feel disappointed. Have you ever noticed how fast we tend to judge ourselves when we experience negative emotions? We often think things like, I shouldn't feel this way, or there must be something wrong with me. But the truth is, feeling disappointed is a normal part of being human.
Exactly. In fact, research from the University of California shows that almost 70% of people regularly experience self-doubt. It's a normal part of life. Instead of trying to push these feelings away, the key is to accept them and remind ourselves that it's okay to feel the way we do. Leo, can you take an example for listeners to understand?
Sure, let's say you applied for a job but didn't get it. It's totally natural to feel disappointed. Instead of thinking, I'm such a failure, try telling yourself, it's okay to feel sad about this. I put in the effort, and it's normal to feel upset.
Let's practice that phrase together. Repeat after me. It's okay to feel this way. I'm allowed to feel disappointed.
Great! Remember, feelings aren't good or bad, they just are. What matters is how we respond to them.
Now that we've accepted how we feel, let's go a bit deeper. Ask yourself, why am I feeling disappointed? Understanding the real reason behind our feelings can make a big difference.
That's really important. Disappointment often comes from things like setting goals that are too high, comparing ourselves to others, or being afraid of failing. When we figure out what's really causing the disappointment, we can start to work on it.
For example, let's say you worked hard on a presentation, but it didn't go as well as you hoped. Instead of saying, I'm terrible at this, ask yourself, what could I have done differently? Did I practice enough, or was I too nervous?
Writing things down can help too. Dr. James Pennebaker, a psychologist at the University of Texas, suggests that journaling about your feelings can help you process them better. Try this. Take a notebook and write down, what am I feeling right now and why? Let's try writing. It is good for a lot of issues in our life.
So that's how you help yourself get over your disappointment?
It doesn't help at all.
Hey,
Just joking. I mean, it doesn't help at all if you just write without thinking about yourself. You're free to write anything, as long as it's related to you. It could be about study or work problems or some mental problems that we might face.
I agree. It takes time to reflect. It means to think about things you have done. But it's really worth it. The more we understand our emotions, the better control we have over them.
Can I ask you a question, Gwen?
Yeah, why not?
Have you ever set a goal for yourself, and when you didn't achieve it exactly how you wanted, you felt like quitting?
Oh, I've been there many times. When I don't get into the school I want, or I keep looking but never get called in for an interview, that's when I feel the most frustrated.
Trying to be perfect can really trap us. Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, a professor at Harvard who teaches about happiness, says that trying to be perfect only causes stress and frustration. Instead of aiming for perfection, he recommends aiming for good enough. What matters more is making progress than being perfect. But don't get me wrong, what I mean is not about just being enough, not wanting to develop more. It's about trying with a suitable goal.
Think about how a baby learns to walk. They stumble, fall, and get back up, right? We don't expect them to walk perfectly right away, do we? So why do we expect ourselves to be perfect all the time?
Remember, it's all about progress, not perfection. Every step forward, even if it's small, is what helps us improve and grow. Letting go of perfection gives us the freedom to keep going, no matter what. Let's take a break and learn some new phrases today. You can take your own example on each phrase to understand it more. Push something away. Definition: try to avoid or ignore something. Example: it's not healthy to push your feelings away when you feel sad. Face the problem. Definition: to directly deal with a situation or issue. Example: instead of avoiding the problem, face it and try to solve it. Figure out. Definition: to understand or solve something. Example: we need to figure out why the project is not going well. Aim for. Definition: trying to achieve or reach something. Example: she's aiming for a promotion at work by improving her skills. Make progress. Definition: to move forward or improve in something. Example: he made progress in his English speaking skills after a few lessons.
Now practice with some questions below to see how well you understand the topic. Type your answer in the comment section to discuss with other listeners. What's a better way to deal with disappointment? Accept the feeling and remind yourself that it's okay to feel that way. How can writing things down help you deal with your emotions? Writing things down helps you process and understand your feelings. Now we will learn more ways to have a positive thinking.
Let's shift gears and talk about something positive, celebrating small wins. When was the last time you praised yourself for even a little achievement? It could be something simple, but it still counts.
That's such an important point. So often we overlook our small successes and only focus on big achievements. The truth is, even small wins can actually boost our motivation and happiness. It's a great way to remind yourself that you're moving forward, even if it doesn't always feel like it. Every small win is proof that you're on the right track.
Absolutely. For example, maybe you learned 5 new words in English today. That's a win. It doesn't matter how small it seems, it's progress. Or perhaps you completed a task at work that had been on your to-do list for days. Maybe you helped a friend with something, or even just took time for yourself to relax and recharge. These moments matter. They're part of your journey, and they deserve recognition. Imagine this. You've just made a mistake, and the first thought that pops into your head is, well, that's it. I'll never recover from this. Sound familiar? It's easy to feel that way, but here's a secret. Mistakes aren't the end, they're just the beginning of a new lesson.
I read about Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx with no money and little business experience. She made many mistakes, like struggling with manufacturers and marketing. But instead of giving up, she learned from each mistake and became a self-made billionaire.
I can relate to that. A while ago, I tried learning how to play the guitar. My first few attempts were terrible. I couldn't even play a simple song. But instead of getting discouraged, I practiced every day, learned from my mistakes, and now I can play a few songs pretty well. I'm still not perfect, but I'm much better than before.
Well, mistakes are like stepping stones that lead you to improvement. Now, let's talk about something really important: being kind to yourself. This is called self-compassion. Think of it as treating yourself the way you would treat a close friend when they're feeling down.
Yeah, Dr. Kristen Neff, who researches self-compassion, explains that we need to be gentle with ourselves, especially in tough moments. It's easy to be kind to others, but we often forget to treat ourselves with that same care.
Think about this. If a friend came to you feeling down because of a mistake, you wouldn't say, "You're awful at this." You'd say something like, "It's okay. Everyone makes mistakes. You're doing your best."
Let's try that together. Next time you feel down, say to yourself, "I'm doing my best, and that's enough." Ready? Let's repeat it.
Well done. Being kind to yourself doesn't just lift your mood, it also gives you the strength to try again and keep going.
Last but not least, we'll talk about finding motivation. After feeling disappointed, it can be hard to start again. You can also talk to a friend or someone you trust. Sharing your feelings can help you feel lighter and more hopeful.
Great. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. We will learn the last 5 phrases for today. Make sure to practice speaking all of them. Stepping stone. Definition: a step towards progress. Example: each project is a stepping stone in your career. Lift someone's mood. Definition: make someone feel happier. Example: a compliment can lift your mood instantly. Step forward. Definition: reach towards a goal. Example: completing the task was a step forward. Pop into someone's head. Definition: suddenly thinking of something. Example: an idea popped into my head while reading. Feel down. Definition: feeling sad. Example: a kind word can help when you're feeling down.
Let's wrap this episode by answering the questions below. Just share your thoughts with us in the comment section. What does celebrating small wins mean? It means appreciating small achievements, like learning a new word or finishing a small task. Recognizing these helps boost motivation and happiness. Why is talking to a friend helpful? It helps you feel better, think clearly, and can motivate you to move forward.
We talked about disappointment and how to deal with it. We learned that it's normal to feel this way, but we don't have to stay stuck.
That's right. By understanding your feelings, letting go of perfection, celebrating your small wins, and being kind to yourself, you can turn disappointment into growth.
Thank you for joining us today. You're doing amazing, and we're proud of you for learning and trying your best. See you next time.
Goodbye.